Yesterday didn't go how we quite expected it to go. New Sprint Ride Option podcast starts right now.
Welcome, everybody.
We are live.
My name is Jason Aponte.
I am Andrew Pasquini.
We're working. That's it. We're working over here. That's it. Let's go Niners.
Let's go Niners. Sprint Ride Option podcast. My goodness, we are live. It's a new edition of the Sprint Ride Option podcast. I am Andrew Pasquini, joined as always by Jason Aponte, and it's not exactly what we thought we would be talking about on this Monday afternoon. The 49ers fall to the Los Angeles Rams yesterday, 27-24. A lot to talk about, but as always, the most important thing, I want to know how Jason Aponte is doing on this lovely Monday afternoon. How are you doing today, man?
It's great. The 49ers are 3-0. No hiccups so far. I had this crazy nightmare that there was a guy who was running routes wearing number 10. And it's just crazy that, like all that stuff happened. And, it's just nice to get out to a nice 3-0 start for the 49ers. You definitely needed that.
3-0, impressive wins over the Vikings, impressive wins over the Rams. They just looking great. Everything is fine and dandy in Santa Clara. I'm sure there's no major overreactions to this 3-0 football team we're talking about right now. Yeah.
I will say this. I think that it was imperative for the 49ers to get off to a start like this. And, again, they're just, they're doing the things that we thought, so, I mean, I'm really excited right now.
They're almost a quarter of a way to an undefeated season. They're one of the, 5 undefeated teams left? Now, obviously, Jason, we're having a little fun. We're keeping it a little loose. I feel like the yelling happened yesterday, which, by the way, if you don't know just how good Jason Aponte is at this podcasting, at this content creating, I said it last week. I'm going to say it again. The first thing I did after the game ended yesterday is I looked at my phone. I have a little notification. Jason Aponte's live on YouTube. I said it last week. I don't know how I would do it after the Vikings game. I don't know how you do it. It's so impressive. After that, I think I might have had a YouTube channel pulled down because I was not in a good mood. Mm-hmm. And I'm sure you weren't either. I'm not trying to say you were happy about the Niners loss yesterday, but being able to put yourself on a camera 5 minutes after what happened yesterday, the GOAT, the tribal chief, Jason Aponte.
I appreciate that, and everybody seems to like it. It just it came from an honest place, not much yelling, but very passionate, and just kind of calling it as it is. This defense stinks right now. The special teams are awful. Just this team right now is just a day late and a dollar short with almost everything, and I think that's what people were really looking for. Is just I'm not sugarcoating anything, not condescending to anybody. Like, oh, don't freak out. And it is a 1-week game, but we have nothing to be happy about with this game because that was an absolutely pathetic loss. It was pathetic, and that's just the way it is. I don't get mad at me, get mad at the team.
Yeah,
I didn't do anything.
Yeah, and that's I think that's where I'm at. Because okay, so here's the thing. I liked what I saw from the Niners yesterday. A lot of parts I didn't like. We're going to talk about those, the defense being one of them. But I thought that was such a promising game for the 49ers, especially with everything going around with this team, with all the injuries. I thought that they played well. And then, Jason, just to pivot right into the things we brought to the podcast, I want to start with the end. I want to get it out of the way now. I want to get the end of the game out of the way now so we can talk about the other things. The final 2 minutes and 47 seconds of this game was atrocious. It was not a playoff caliber team performance. It was not I'm not even thinking Super Bowl right now. It just, the missed field goal. I know people come here for the Jake Moody stuff. Missed field goal sucks. I hate that he missed it. 55 yards is not, it's long, but it's not super long in 2024. I think you see kickers making that kick a lot nowadays. Unless your name's Justin Tucker, he's missing those left and right.
Kickers are not kickers are down horrendous right now.
But 55. So this isn't necessarily harping on Moody. This is harping on the whole situation. Yes, the field goal could have put the game away, but then the very you can't even be done being angry about the Jake Moody miss, and all of a sudden Tutu Atwell's running 50 yards down. I went to the bathroom. I went to the bathroom during the commercial break. and I came out and the Rams had the ball at the 5-yard line.
Yeah.
I missed it. So you don't even get a chance to breathe, and the Rams already in a spot to go to tie the game for the first time all game. Then the Niners get the ball back, tie game, whatever. The Ronnie Bell play happens, and Brock Purdy doing a hell of a job being a leader that he could have thrown that ball better.
Could he have?
Yeah, sure, Brock Purdy. You can say that. You're doing a great job. That ball's got to be caught. Absolutely has to be caught.
I love Shanahan's reaction also, by the way. So if you think that anybody else was overreacting, just look at Kyle Shanahan.
Shout out Brad Graham for getting the angle of it all and that photo he had of them reacting to it. That one sucked because, yes, I know we just had the conversation about Moody missing field goals, but the ball would have been at the 27-yard line. Like that's not 55, that's 43, 45. So that's much more makeable. Then the punt happens. And I turned to my friend. This isn't Andrew's right, Andrew knows ball type thing. I turned to my friend as the Niners were lining up for that punt, and I said, this feels like a punt that something's just going to go wrong. And boy, oh boy, did it, because Xavier Smith returned it 38 yards. And then another situation where you don't even get a chance to relax from the bad punt return because Campbell gets called for pass interference. And the Rams, just like that, are in field goal range. They win the game 27-24. I was just going to grab that. The Sorensen promotion appears to be a massive whiff. I think we're going to talk about the defense here in a bit. I would be hard-pressed not to talk about the defense here in a bit. So, Matt, thank you for the donation. We appreciate it. We're going to get to this in a bit. I want to stay focused on the last 2 minutes of this game. I don't know who to blame. I don't know if it's a coaching thing. I think the biggest person to blame is Ronnie Bell. Because you have to catch that ball. And I think that's something you forget, not you, Jason, but we collectively forget about all these weapons missing. Is it's not necessarily, okay, who's going to replace Deebo Samuel and George Kittle in the passing game? Because I think we can trust Brandon Ayuk and Juwan Jennings. We're going to talk Juwan Jennings, I promise. But the thing that gets lost is it's not necessarily who gets bumped to the top. It's who gets bumped into spots they shouldn't be in. And Ronnie Bell should not be in a situation where he's making plays or attempting to make plays
down the field.
I'm saying like he's trying to make a play, but he's like he shouldn't be trying to catch a ball like that. Right. Like I just cannot believe he dropped that football. Right. It's just a massive collapse. I don't want to state it anything that this changes how I think they look for the rest of the season. I don't want to go that far, but that 2-minute and 47-second collapse raised a lot of red flags yesterday, and that is my biggest concern coming out of the game.
So let's talk about this, because I think offensively I have less reservations than I do defensively, right? Because when you have Brock Purdy playing one of his best games, by the way, 9th game with 130 passer rating, that is the most in NFL history through 3 seasons. He passed Lamar Jackson yesterday. Brock Purdy was absolutely fine. If you're a Brock Purdy person that was looking for this game, this ain't your game to say that, no. If anything, I feel good. I feel great. I know guys are going to come back. Offensively, I don't feel anything because Juwan Jennings was very good. Brock Purdy was even better. Sure, he should have thrown the ball to Brandon Ayuk. You still had enough there. Yeah. It's the defense, and it's the defensive line. I don't count pockets, right? I look at the player, and I expect more in the big moments, in those moments when you need a play, when you need a stop. Nick Bosa, Javon Hargrave, Leonard Floyd, you're here. Someone do something. If you know the secondary is getting picked on, if you know that every time they look up and they see Isaac Yiadom on somebody, they're going at them, close the game. Nick Bosa, you're supposed to be one of the best. I mean, you still are. You're one of the best defensive ends. Close the game. Close it. Someone make a play. Everyone's kind of just looking around like hoping that something happens, not making something happen. Close the game. Get someone who gets pressure on Stafford. This is what we talked about all week, Andrew. The whole, they don't have guys, right? Okay, fine. But they have a quarterback who can make all the throws. And he can make guys who are whatever you want to call them. I don't call them scrubs. They're NFL players. I really don't dislike that term. But Stafford can hit those throws. And they're dangerous just based off of that. When you have the play caller that can get guys open, when you have the guy who can let it rip from any angle, and you give them time, that's when you let them linger, and that's what can happen. But my God, this defensive line is gross right now. Yeah. And it's sad. It's sad. You count on the defensive line to close the game out. Big play, either sack, forced fumble, cause interception, batted ball, something. It's always nothing with this team so far.
Mhm.
So I am really, really down on this defense, particularly the guys that I knew that I could set my watch to, which should have been Bosa, Hargrave, and Floyd.
Mhm.
It's just, it's nothing right now. It's non-existent. I know Hargrave got a sack, but it's non-existent. And we found out after the game that Hargrave has a tricep injury.
Great.
But they have to close the game. They have to close the game, man. And they just didn't. And they were just waiting. They're waiting for the Rams to make a mistake rather than forcing the mistake. And that's never how you're going to close the game.
Yeah. And the pass rush, because like individually, like we got what we were looking for out of Javon Hargrave, right? Like 5 pressures, a sack. Malik Collins had 5 pressures as well. It's just now it's the impact. Now they got to impact the game. And I don't know if it's a Sorensen thing. I mentioned in the group chat earlier, Jason, that the Niners are dead last in blitzes. They blitz like 6% of the time through 3 games. I don't know if that's the fix, but somebody needed to step up and make a play yesterday at the end of the game, and nobody wanted to. And that's a concern. That's a massive concern to me. I can't fathom how that game ended. Like I think that's just kind of what stuck with me. I know a lot of people want to talk about the defense. I know a lot of people want to talk about Ronnie Bell. A lot of people want to talk Jake Moody, but it's like it just was a collapse on every facet of the game. And that's just I can't get past it. I mean, what was it? 93.9% chance to win the game with 2 minutes left.
And they showed that on the screen, the next gen win probability. And I was like, why did they show that right now? Like, it's literally like 94% win probability. I'm like, don't show that.
I don't like it. Yeah. And so it's just a complete and utter failure by the San Francisco 49ers yesterday. And part of the issue was, and Jason, I have a feeling it's going to be one of your first things. Are you going to bring up the defense first? Or are you going to bring up Juwan Jennings first? Which one do you want to bring up first?
I think we should stick with this and talk what Matt M is saying. The Sorensen promotion appears to be a massive whiff.
So we got a couple on the defense, Jason. I'll let you start with the defense because Gray Fox as well. How do we fix the defense? Do we wait on Sorensen to do a D'Amico 2021 type leap? Big if, give play calling duties to Staley, the offense will be fine. And then Tony here as well. Pressures are most gaslighty stat. I like that. I'm looking at you, Javon Hargrave. So we got a lot of comments on the defense. So yeah, Jason, I'm gonna take your first thing. I'll make it. We're gonna talk the Niners defense. So go ahead, Jason.
Well, with Sorensen, I think you have to just continue to let him go through it. I don't think that people understand that like changing defensive coordinators during the season isn't going to do anything, right? Like in terms of like you can't find somebody who, you know, you've installed a system, you've installed the way that you're running it, and I still think that you have to give him time. Remember, I'm old enough to remember when people wanted Robert Saleh out. I'm old enough to remember when people wanted D'Amico Ryans out. Like right now, we still have to be able to be patient. Now, do you have to be happy right now? No, because the early returns don't look good. I think week 1 fooled us a lot in terms of the way this team looked. Week 1, the 49ers offensive line looks amazing. Defensive line, absolutely crushing. We're like, here we go. We're back. Then you go up against the Minnesota Vikings. You have that performance. And then you have this banged up Rams team. And there you go. You get that result. I think you have to go through it, but you don't have to be happy about it right now. You still have to kind of stick with him because who are you going to cut him out for? You can't find a defensive coordinator on the street and say, you know what, just start it over. Like, let's just revamp this whole thing. The Eagles tried it last year, and they were an absolute mess when they brought in Matt Patricia. And it's right now, you have to kind of let him go through it. You got to try to adjust. This is going to be on Kyle very much like it was with Steve Wilkes, where you've got to get involved and figure out what it is that's wrong, what's off. This is part of your head coaching duties. But you can't just get rid of the guy and just put somebody else in. It's just not how things work, or what a team would that isn't panicking would do. So I think you have to go through it, but you don't have to be happy about it. You definitely have to see it through and see where he's going to go and see what adjustments he makes.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm at a point to question Sorensen Staley yet. I think it's still early in the season, right? And it's 3 games into a defensive coordinator tenure. The early returns are very, very bad. But it's just, and I know this is kind of an offense issue as well, so I don't want to fully put it on the defense, but the Niners got up 14-0 early yesterday. They were able to extend the lead to 14 again in the second half. And I know the offense can score more points, but usually you expect this defense to force a turnover, make a big play, to
That's
get the
another thing they're
Niners
missing.
offense into a short field. So now it's okay. Niners offense just got it up to 14. Oh, there's the Charvarius Ward interception. Niners starting with the ball at the 30. Okay, minimum they're going to get a Moody field goal. They're up 17. 3 possession score now, and that's a totally different game than 14. It just never happened. It never happened yesterday. And I don't want to get too dramatic because I think it was Mark Sanchez that said it, but the game really, I think you can make an argument the game really started to change on the fake punt. The fake punt. But like the fake punt only put the Rams at midfield. The Rams had after the fake punt 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 plays after the fake punt.
16 play drive.
At the 50-yard line to score a touchdown, 16-play drive. And just at some point, the defense has to make a play. And I mentioned Sorensen blitz stat percentages, 6% through 3 games. Like, maybe I'm oversimplifying it, but against Matthew Stafford with the weapons he did not have and the way he was kind of not torching you in the first half, but he was finding open receivers. They were taking advantage of things. I don't know, blitz more, do something, change something. And it's just, they're doing the same stuff. And like, I'm not even a tape watcher. We know that, right? I've established it, but I'm sitting there being like, the defense is just doing the same stuff. Like nothing's changing. It's 4-man rushes. They're letting Stafford do what he needs to do to dissect the secondary. I don't like where this defense is trending. There's plenty of time to fix it, but I don't want to say I'm concerned yet because it's a unit that we've really hung our hats on being good for the last 5 years, Jason, but like I'm concerned about the 49ers defense.
Through 3 weeks, the 49ers are a bottom 5 defensive unit. And I think a lot of what covered up whatever schematical warts there were for the 49ers last year with Steve Wilkes was they were creating turnovers, whether it be interceptions or fumbles. Either way, they're not doing that through 3 weeks now. Now, it's either Fred Warner making some Superman Herculean type play against the Sam Darnold, and this week you can't get anything up front. You didn't force Stafford into any uncomfortable throws, especially given who he has at wide receiver. Kyron Williams is just running everywhere. The run defense is atrocious still. Devondre Campbell, Isaac Yiadom, absolute liabilities right now. They're absolutely getting attacked. Devondre Campbell got destroyed on that Kyron Williams choice route, man. So it's crazy how last year all the complaints were about Wilkes, but the 49ers, for what it's worth, still created turnovers. Still had, that's the one thing we always said, like, well, they used to play it safe. Well, we're getting turnovers now. Turnovers and drives. Turnovers give you advantageous spots with the ball. Now you're not even doing that. And now the pressure numbers are lower. And it's just nothing looks good. Nothing looks connected, right? I think it's like Fred Warner's playing out of his mind, and then everybody else is just like, whatever right now. And when people ask, is it Sorensen? Is it the players? Is it the effort? It's yes, and yes. It's all yes. And it's not one thing. It's all yes. Everybody seems like they're kind of loafing around. You know what's the typical play in this game? The one that really like stands out to me, and I know obviously he's going to look at the Ronnie Bell thing. Remember the Kyron Williams touchdown where they kind of overloaded the right side and then they just ran into the left side? Isaac Yiadom's looking all the way to the left, and the player's already on the other side of him scored, and he's still looking to the left. Legend has it, Isaac Yiadom is still standing at the goal line looking to the left as the play runs right by them. They don't know where they are. They're not put in a good spot. They're not playing well. All three of those things can be true.
Yeah, and I think, you listed all the things on the defense that's an issue, and all of them are yeses. And it's like I see a lot of like Javon Hargrave hate right now on the timeline, which like slightly deserved. I know that the 50-yard play doesn't make it look good, but I guess he was dealing with a tricep. So like I'm not gonna judge it, but it's like, where's Nick Bosa? Like, I know he got a sack, or he had a pressure that led to a sack yesterday, but like I saw a tweet today that really got me thinking, and I hated it. It might have been a Jared Bailey tweet. I don't know, man. Whatever it is. And it's like, you look at TJ Watt, you look at Myles Garrett, and yet we're sitting here and we're looking at Nick Bosa talking about, he just doesn't get help across from him. It's like, okay, at some point, Nick Bosa, like, and 3 games into a season, very early into the year, Nick Bosa can absolutely have a 20 pressure game with 5 sacks next week, and this is going to look really silly. But through 3 games, like, Nick Bosa is it's not just like, oh yeah, the Niners pass rush is struggling, but there's Nick Bosa, so it's okay. It's no, dude, like it's unless your name is Fred Warner on this 49ers defense, I don't know if I have 100% trust in you right now, and I don't like that.
Demo played good in this game.
Demo balled. Yes, absolutely. Got to give Demo credit.
Yeah. It's not enough, right? Like, and it's at different times as different people. Papa J, Yadam is actually in his 6th year. And he played all of last year with the Saints. That's the reason the 49ers went after him. So he's not a rookie at all. That it's either you got it or you don't. All right, look, let me say this. I saw the vision with Yadam, and here's why. Last season, he had an incredible season under the radar as an outside corner with Marshawn Lattimore. Mm-hmm. And I think the 49ers were betting on, hey, all those other years, maybe this is the year that he turned the switch on and we found something and we got him for nothing. So I saw the vision with it. It was a low risk, high reward type signing. Through 3 games, though, it looks like everyone is like, where's 22? We'd rather not throw a 7 or 2. The problem is that even that Tutu Atwell play, that's on Charvarius Ward. He's literally running for his life trying to get back there for Tutu Atwell. So it's I saw the vision, but Yadam is not a rookie, man. He's been in this league for many years now.
Yeah, and I mean Yadam found himself in the right place a couple times last week. Minnesota recovering a couple fumbles, needed him there. But yeah, yesterday it was just he was the weak link. And you mentioned Deommodore Lenoir and Fred Warner, and it's like I guess that's part of the issue because it's not in a bad way, but like it's 2024. It doesn't feel good that you're talking about the most impressive players on your defense being a middle linebacker and a slot corner. And slot corner is very important in a Niners defense. And Lenoir looked really good in the run game yesterday. I think he had 2 tackles for loss or like 1 and he forced 1 or something like that.
He blew up that crack toss play to Kyron. He blew that up.
It's just this defense is too talented to be having conversations like this in week 3. And I think that's the concern. Are we closing the door on the Niners turning it around? Absolutely not. It's just there is too much talent on this defense to be having this conversation on September 12th, 3 games into a season, and like we're panicking about the 49ers defense and what it looks like. And that's just like, if anything, like, and I think that's the scary thing. If anything, like the offense had the built-in excuse to have a slow start to the season. Trent Williams mispractice, the Ayuk situation, McCaffrey's hurt. They have all the offense looks fine. It's just the defense, and I just don't know what the fix is right now. Maybe the fix is the team that's strolling into Santa Clara on Sunday, and you figure.
I don't want to talk about that, and also I don't about that game yet. No, and I also don't want to be like, oh well, here come the Patriots. No. This is what's frustrating about this. The offense played incredible. Brock Purdy shut a lot of people up, and if you're still yapping about Brock, then I would suggest you grab a book and learn ball. But the problem is, this game should have springboarded you into a game against the Patriots, who look terrible and probably have Jacoby Brissett. That's what makes this frustrating. It's not that, oh, here come the Patriots. It's stacking wins. This is an NFC loss and a game that you should have had. And then you could have said, hey, let's get back to the crib, and we got the Patriots, and then things start to roll. You start to get your guys back. You start to feel good about yourself. All of this stuff was supposed to springboard into that game. Now, you walk into that Patriots game, and I can't believe I'm saying this. It's an absolute must-win now. And how did we get here? We got here because of that performance that you saw yesterday.
Yep. I mean, it's 3 weeks into the season. Obviously, don't care. Point differential. But waking up to the 49ers being in last place in the NFC West just does not
at least there's company.
Good. And yeah, there absolutely is company with 2 other teams. But it's one of those things, man, where you can't win a division. You can't clinch home field in the first couple of weeks of the season, but you sure as hell can lose it. And that's what we're teetering towards right now. So, Jason, we got the negatives out of the way, the end of the game, the defense, all that fun stuff. There was plenty of positives. Pearsall can't come back soon enough. Gray Fox, thank you. Maybe. I mean, yeah.
I guess it takes Ronnie Bell off the field.
Yeah. I guess that's the only spin. But ideally, it's not Ricky Pearsall coming back soon enough. It's Deebo Samuel and George Kittle. But let's talk about the offense, because the offense I thought had their best game. No, I don't think, I know they had their best game of the season yesterday. Jason, who are you more pressing? Who do you want to talk about more, Brock Purdy or Juwan Jennings? Because I think we're going to talk about both. I'll take the one you want to talk about least.
Well, I also want to say before we get into this, Isaac Guerrendo looked good running the football, and that's a big plus, and I think that's something that the 49ers need to build on with behind Mason. If you're worried about running Mason into the ground, Guerrendo looking good with his little bit of run is actually really good. So that helps a lot. That's a positive. I think that's a big positive.
That's a big positive. Yeah, I did like Guerrendo, especially with Mason's kind of slow start yesterday. Mason got his stats looking better in the second half. 12 carries for 30 yards in the first half wasn't great, but straightened up a little bit. Guerrendo getting some relief action looked good as well. Jason, I will start. I looked it up last night, Jason Aponte. We'll start with Juwan Jennings, because games in 49ers franchise history where a receiver had 11 receptions, at least 11 receptions, 175 yards, and 3 touchdowns. Two other instances. Two other, don't know if you've heard of this receiver. Jerry Rice did the first one, and Jerry Rice had the second one. So Juwan Jennings, the first 49ers receiver in franchise history not named Jerry Rice. I have a stat line like this yesterday. And I'm going to go out and say it. I'm going to say it. I'll make my big overreaction here. When we mentioned the 49ers weapons on offense, you best not forget Juwan Jennings' names, because I think he established himself yesterday as one of those guys.
Yeah, and again, a lot of it is because of the attention that was paid to Ayuk. And Jennings was getting at, but let's not downplay it. I mean, the first throw for the touchdown was wide open, and also he had a play call back, which was like another 25 yards. He could have put up 200.
Yep.
That catch jumping over the guy. Look, I think we all know that Juwan Jennings is great. We all know that he is. He's just overshadowed. America, fantasy football players got introduced to him. And again, it's a combination of Jennings finally getting his time, and then Brock being able to throw the football to him and their rapport, man. Good for Juwan Jennings. I think we all knew, when we talked about this all week about the passing game, what did I say, Andrew? Well, this is going to be your time to run play action because of the single high looks that the Rams are going to give you. Well, you know what? Kyle Shanahan and I, same brain. First drive, look beautiful. 3 times they did it. Right down the field, real easy, right? Real easy. And that's what Kyle was talking about when everyone was asking about, well, what about play action? You're not going to run play action against Minnesota where they're disguising their look so much. You want Purdy to turn his back and then look back and see something completely different. That's when you start to get yourself into trouble. I think that's why you don't run it that much there. This was the defense to get it going with, and it started very well. And it was because of Juwan Jennings, and it was because it looked like the 49ers wanted to get Ayuk involved early, very early and often. And once they saw the attention that was being paid to Ayuk, then you had Jennings running by himself, and you had Jennings in good matchups. Good for Juwan Jennings, man. I think, again, and this is the reason the 49ers paid him and didn't let him walk. If he was to hit the open market, someone would pay him a lot of money, because I do believe that he's a very good receiver.
I mean, I didn't prepare myself for this question, Jason, but like, how many teams is Juwan Jennings wide receiver 2 on?
Right.
Like,
right.
I'm going to comfortably say more than half. I might forget some teams here and there, but I feel like Ayuk maybe got some stray shots yesterday. I thought Ayuk was fine. Like, the drop sucks. Purdy threw it a little behind him. Maybe he needs to catch it, but maybe he doesn't. I thought Ayuk got maligned a little bit with everything else. I thought the Niners offense played really well, but Juwan Jennings, it's just, you mentioned that fantasy people kind of found out how good he was. Niner fans have known how good he is, but Niner fans have also kind of put him into this corner of like, 3rd and Juwan. We only need him on 3rd downs, but he really showed who he was yesterday. And I'm kind of excited to see all the weapons returning, because I want to see if this changes how Shanahan prioritizes Juwan Jennings, because let's be honest, he is prioritized last. That's why he's in the role he's in. But I just thought it's hard. It's it's like if you hit a home run, you got to be in the lineup the next day type situation. Like he had that performance, even if Debo and Kittle are back. Now, I don't think Debo's back next week, but if Kittle's back, like I think Jennings has to be as involved, if not, I mean, it's hard to say more involved than he was yesterday because he had 11 receptions, but I think he needs to kind of get his target share up to where at least closer to what everybody else is getting just based off of yesterday.
And think about the next matchup, right? And this is just me, again, projecting, right? No Debo, no Kittle, let's just say, right? Christian Gonzalez is going to be following Brandon Ayuk, and he's one of the better cornerbacks in the league. So do we even expect Brandon Ayuk to ball out again this week when he has like one of the premier corners on him? Juwan Jennings is in a prime spot again to do something like this again against the Patriots. So it's important to have somebody like that, right? And you know, I wanted to see Jacob Cowing, but I never once thought that he was going to see the field. And it's just because of what I know Kyle stands on. That's why Conley, Bell, we're always going to get more run than him just because I don't know. I think Ronnie Bell knows where the bodies are. Something, right? Like they're just, it's just inexplicable. It really is inexplicable. You drafted Jacob Cowing, and yet a guy who we never thought was going to make the roster is running valuable routes instead of you saying, you know what, man, let's just throw a tunnel screen to Jacob Cowing. Let's maybe do an end around with him. Hey, he's really fast. He could put pressure on the defense. Nah. It's cool. Let's just Ronnie Bell. Let's get out there, Ronnie. You know, like I understand that he's a better run blocker, but they weren't running the ball when he was out there. So what are we supposed to do? Like, I don't understand what I'm supposed to do with that information that Ronnie Bell's a better run blocker than Cowing when you weren't running the ball with him there. But Jennings absolutely has a good shot this week again.
Yeah, and it's like to me, I just don't like that idea of like, oh yeah, Bell's better at run block. It's like, okay, well the Niners kind of need to throw the ball in that situation. Why do we need run blockers on the field? He's like, that's just my thing, and I don't like. I saw somebody comment up at the top like, oh well, apparently you're calling clutch time plays the Ronnie, but I don't necessarily agree with that take though because it's a clutch situation. Of course, they're going to be paying attention to Jennings and Ayuk.
It was the right throw. I mean, all he has to do is catch it.
Absolutely. All he has to do is catch it, and nobody's questioning the play call. And it's just that thing of like everybody's paying attention to Jennings, everybody's paying attention to Ayuk. Trust an NFL receiver to go make a catch, man. And that's what Shanahan, like, you have to trust an NFL receiver to go make that catch. So I listen, Juwan Jennings, fantastic game. We love it. Jason, last thing we'll get to because tight episode. I got to be out of here in about 15 minutes. Let's talk Brock Purdy, and I want to let you start with Purdy. I thought it was the best game he's had in a long time, so I want to get your thoughts first on Purdy.
Yeah, if you were waiting for Brock Purdy to fall flat on his face because he didn't have the Avengers, yeah, boy, you woke up this morning and you're sick because the goalpost got to be moved. If you watched that game and you didn't think that Brock Purdy was good in this game, and if you want to chalk it up to, oh well, the Rams are banged up on defense, no. It's always these weird qualifiers with Brock. I need to see Brock on Mars beat the 86 Bears without Juwan Jennings now. That's what someone else is going to say now. It's insane to me that there are quarterbacks that continuously shit the bed, right? And when they do, you're like, oh, God, you've got to get him some weapons. Poor Patrick Mahomes last season. Everyone needs to get him some weapons. Oh, no. How will he ever? I don't understand. So if you went into this game and you were waiting for Brock Purdy to not play well so you could say, aha, scheme merchant, aha, Christian McCaffrey, no Debo, aha, no. I don't see how you watched that game and you didn't walk away impressed. Best quarterback play probably this entire week, and we still have 2 games left. We got 2 games left. Brock Purdy played the best football this week. Highest big-time throw percentage, 8.6%. Yes, you fumbled the football. Okay, fine. We get it. But he had 5 drops. 5 drops. I don't know what more you wanted this guy to do. Fine. You wanted him to throw the ball to Ayuk? Fine. I agree. He loaded up. He saw him. He didn't throw it. But they still had enough to get it done. So if you're one of those people that were waiting on this game for Brock Purdy slander and you were ready to go, sorry. I hope your day goes better because you will look like an absolute idiot out here trying to peddle any sort of nonsense or slander towards Brock Purdy. Insane. Absolutely insane.
Yeah. I think the biggest takeaway I have for Brock Purdy yesterday Obviously, he was very good. Obviously, he was very talented. But on Friday, Jason, I jokingly, not even jokingly, I real life asked a dumb question saying, hey, maybe Shanahan sees a little bit of what Purdy has to offer. And he unintentionally did it. Like, okay, 18 of his 28 passes, I believe he threw 28. 18 of his 30 passes were 10 yards down the field. Only one was behind the line of scrimmage. I want you to turn back your brain, Jason Aponte, 4 years ago, and you tell me that the Niners have a game without Deebo Samuel, without George Kittle, and Jimmy Garoppolo is throwing 18 balls 10 yards downfield. Kyle Shanahan has so much trust in Brock Purdy. I think he showed that yesterday with how the offense was ran. It wasn't dink and dunks trying to get what you can. Purdy was pushing the ball. I mean, the throw that I think is going to get forgotten a little bit, the throw, it was after I think Trent got called for a holding. It was a 16-yard out route to Eric Salbert. And it took a 1st and 20 to a 2nd and 4. And I think they went down and scored a touchdown. Brock Purdy looks so good yesterday. And if anybody had any questions of what he looks like without the weapons, just go look back at yesterday, man. I understand a lot of people want to look at the Brandon Ayuk play and be like, oh, well, why didn't he? That's why the Niners like baby, there's 14 other plays that happened after that cost the Niners the game. Yes, he missed that throw, is what it is. I would like to believe that Jake Moody making a 55-yard field goal makes people forget that.
Right.
But
ices the game.
Other than that, though, Purdy did enough to get the Niners in situations to win that football game yesterday.
Yeah.
And at some point, man, there's got to be other fingers to point because Brock Purdy did his job. And that's where I want to be at with everything we talked about the last week, with all the weapons missing around Purdy and what he's going to look like. Brock Purdy had the best game he possibly could have had given the circumstances. So Brock Purdy absolutely balled out yesterday, and I think Niner fans need to kind of respect that. And
if your takeaway was, if you want to complain about this game and it's about Brock Purdy, then you already have a preconceived notion that nobody's going to be able to change.
Yes.
But I would pose this question, and I don't know if this is going to help or hurt because it pisses me off and it's about to come out of my mouth. If I told you that Brock Purdy was going to throw 3 touchdowns, nearly 300 yards, 0 interceptions, 3 of those touchdowns went to Jawan Jennings, you would say as a 49ers fan, how much did we win by? That is the 9th game in his career with over 130 passer rating, the most in NFL history through 3 seasons. And that's the first time they lost. In those games, hold on, I'm going to look it up. In those games, someone dropped this stat in there. And I want to, again, I don't want to belabor the point, but I know people were running to like shit on Brock. They wanted this was their moment, right? This was their moment. You ready for these numbers? In those 9 games with his passer rating over 130, 75.3 completion percentage, 2,375 yards, 10.8 yards per attempt, 27 touchdowns, 0 interceptions, 149.6 QB rating. The Niners had won all 8 of those games before and lost this first one. Shout out to Citizen510 on Twitter. That is an absolutely mind-blowing stat.
Yeah. It really feels like we're getting to a point, Jason, where the last 5-6 years it was, okay, well, hopefully the Niners defense can hold the 49ers or the opposing team's offense to less points than the Niners score. And now it almost feels like the Niners offense has to outscore the defense. And I don't like that feeling because, Jason, yeah, if you would have told me that Brock Purdy threw for 280 yards and 3 touchdowns against a Rams team without Cooper Kupp, Puka Nacua, offensive lineman, probably would have said the Niners won 31-10.
Right.
That's what it should have been. No more, no less. But here we are, Niners 1-2. Guys, quick episode today. We're going to get to the 3 stars. We're about 40 minutes in. We're going to get to the 3 stars. I know there's a lot to dissect, but Jason Aponte's YouTube channel is a great place to get all that dissection. He has multiple shows. Brian Peacock, Brad Graham, Steph Sanchez all join Jason Aponte. So if you want deeper thoughts on this loss, I'm sure Jason Aponte is going to have a lot of them on this YouTube channel. You could also go to NinersNation.com. Jason Aponte and Andrew Pasquini, we both write NinersNation.com. We're going to give you all our thoughts. I wrote my game and review, came out this morning. Tomorrow I got my what we learned. We learned that maybe we can't trust the Niners defense anymore, but we'll find out. We'll see what the article looks like when I write it. But Jason Aponte, 3 stars. I'll start with my 3rd star. just because, and then I like to give my third star to somebody who maybe didn't deserve it, but give them the shout out. Just because we kind of called them out the last 2 weeks, I'm gonna give my third star to Javon Hargrave. I know the one play existed, but we asked for a performance, 5 pressures, a sack. He felt like he was involved more. So listen, we talked a lot of crap about Javon Hargrave the last week. He showed out a little bit. Here's me acknowledging it. Javon Hargrave is going to be my third star.
Yeah, I definitely think that he had some moments like that as well too. I'm going to take the easy route. Third star, Fred Warner. Again, where would this defense be without you? If we're talking about a bottom 5 unit, where would it be without you right now? At this point, and it's a little bit of a byproduct of how good he is because defenses won't attack him. So you take your chance with Devondre Campbell. Obviously, if Drake Greenlaw is healthy, you don't have that sort of same feeling. So yeah, the 49ers are getting reinforcements back, hopefully sooner than later. But yeah, Fred Warner, man, just keep hooping, man. And I gotta know that he's frustrated right now with the way this defense is playing because I know how much he cares.
Yeah, Fred Warner is special. Now we can say that every week. We're gonna say it every week, so get used to it on the Sprint Right Option podcast. I think our next 2 stars are probably going to be the same. Number 2 is going to be Brock Purdy for me.
I was gonna flip mine.
Oh, you're gonna flip yours? Okay. Then I'll go Brock Purdy at 2. Brock Purdy, as I said, man, I can't think of a better performance that he's had as a 49er. I'm sure there's a couple, but this one probably is going to stick out the most because they lost. It was such a good performance with everything around him. And they lost. They absolutely wasted a Brock Purdy masterclass, and it's a bummer. So Brock Purdy, my second star. I love the performance, and if that's what Brock Purdy looks like for the next 14 games, the 49ers are going to be pretty damn good.
By the way, Rod, the TD flip was on Talanoa Hufanga, not Fred Warner. Kind of feels racist that you think that those are the same 2 people, but anyway, yeah. Look, I've got Juwan Jennings there. I've got Juwan Jennings there, and I don't want to disappoint or hurt people's feelings, but I've got to bring this up. Why is it when the 49ers get a game from Juwan Jennings, like a show-out game, they can't finish? It's almost a bad omen when Juwan Jennings does well. When Juwan Jennings does well, somehow they can't get it done and finish. But Juwan Jennings, way to show out. That's the reason the 49ers drafted you and signed you. 7th round to 7th round connection, by the way. I don't know if you're ever going to see something like that either. But there is a reason. We all kind of assumed that Juwan Jennings was going to be the odd man out and, hey, we'll let him walk. No. Now you see what the 49ers see in him and what we've all seen. Shout out to you, Juwan Jennings, man. But you got to stop having good games in these losses, man, and it's not even your fault.
I'm going to make up a stat off the top of my head. Not true. Fact check me. Because this is a not true stat, but it sounds true. That's got to be the first game in NFL history where a 7th round pick had 3 touchdown passes to a 7th round pick, right?
You know what? Don't even fact check it. Don't even fact check it. Nobody fact checks anything anyway, so we might as well just run with it. That's the first time that a 7th round quarterback threw 3 touchdowns to a 7th round wide receiver. Book it. There's your stat.
Boom. My number 1 star, Juwan Jennings. Jason listed all the reasons. He had a game that literally only Jerry Rice has had in 49ers history. That sentence alone is enough for my number 1 star, Juwan Jennings. So, Jason, who's your number 1 star? I think we know.
Yeah, it's Brock Purdy, man. Again, everybody was waiting for this moment. Everyone was waiting for this moment. And not only in this game where it was like, well, if their back's against the wall, what do you do? Brock Purdy absolutely showed you what this may look like moving forward if there are some tough choices to make. So everybody's pocket watching. I'm not. I don't care what the guy gets paid as long as he performs. I thought he was fantastic. This is one of the better Brock Purdy games I can ever remember, especially given the circumstances. If you are still blaming Brock Purdy, or if you say that Brock Purdy is the reason that they didn't win or didn't make enough plays, there's a book and you can go to it. It's in the library. It's called How to Learn Ball. And I hope you guys take it out of the library and read it.
Is that a Mark Twain book?
It's written by
George R. R. Martin. Another thing he finished before the last.
Edgar Allan Poe. Edgar Allan Poe wrote it. Yeah, it's like The Raven. But yes, It's called Please Learn Ball.
Please Learn Ball. So there we go. Learning books, Sprint Red Option podcast. Jason, I'm sure we could go much longer on this game. We're not. We're going to save the people. But as I said, Jason Aponte, plenty of content on Jason Aponte's YouTube channel. All the talk you need about the Niners loss yesterday. We'll be back Friday, preview Niners Patriots, which might be a little bit more of a contentious preview than we may have thought a month ago. But unfortunately, Niners are 1-2. That's where they sit. Jason Aponte, as always.
Let's go Niners, guys. Everything's going to be fine, but that game absolutely sucked.
And to answer Rod, it's Swerve's house. It's not Ram's house. It's Swerve's house.
Welcome, everybody.
We are live.
My name is Jason Aponte.
I am Andrew Pasquini.
We're working. That's it. We're working over here. That's it. Let's go Niners.
Let's go Niners.